So after having my power be down for about 3 days because of Hurricane Helene, I was finally able to complete the Metaphor Refantazio prologue demo, and I have to say I am thoroughly impressed so far. So impressed in fact that I'm willing to say that this could be Atlus's best work yet if they manage to make the full game as good as this demo was. This game feels like a big warm love letter to Atlus history, and it combines all of the best aspects of their titles into one big package. The story is very compelling so far, the gameplay has a lot of potential, and the side content seems very good as well, including things like requests and things like that, as all JRPGs are well known for. This game is not a clone of SMT or Persona as some might lead you to believe, but it does share some mechanics from them, which I'm all for because those games respectively have amazing mechanics that work well for a JRPG, namely things like the press turn system of SMT and the time management of the Persona games. Let's go ahead and talk about the little we know about the story so far. So us, the player, is overseeing this journey of fantasy, and the main character has fantasies of a world not too dissimilar to ours. We're peeking into their reality and they're peeking into ours from what I can tell, which is a really cool premise. I'm not too sure how our fate and the protagonist's fate are intertwined, but it's clear there's some special connection between the two, and I'm looking forward to learning more about it. The protagonist is of the Elda tribe, which is seen as lesser by many of the people around you, which ties into one of the main themes of the game, that being equality and racism. As you roam the lands, you're bound to come across people who judge you for being an Elda, and you are on a mission to more or less save the country from a scheming individual known as Luis. You'll need to gain recognition from people all over and increase your influence to have a shot of becoming king and landing your spot at the throne. The protagonist has lofty goals of creating a world of peace and equality for all, and to reach his goal he has to form bonds with those around him to gain the power to do so. The power of bonds gives him and his allies the power of archetypes, and the protag's awakening to his is one of the coolest I've ever seen in an Atlus game. It could be my favorite awakening ever. Oh shit. Dude, that was... wow. That might be one of the best awakening scenes they've ever made, dude. Damn, that was good. There's a lot more I could say about the story, but I'll leave it for another time because there's not a whole lot to go off of from the demo alone. Like I said, it's certainly compelling and it's got me wanting more. Beyond the protagonist himself, characters like Strahl are a simple yet very enjoyable company that make the experience much more enjoyable. I always enjoy me a bro character, so to speak, so having him around fills that void for me, and I like the dynamic between him and the protagonist a lot actually. The other thing besides the writing and story itself that impressed me a lot is the sheer number of animated cutscenes they decided to make for this game. I don't think there's another Atlus game that comes close to how often an animated cutscene plays. I mean, it's gotta be like on average every 20 to 30 minutes one will play, which is a far cry from any other title from them. And the quality is out of this world, dude. I mean, god damn, they look good. You can tell they're betting a lot on this game being a success. As far as Atlus titles go, this game has potential to be my favorite for sure story-wise. I'm always a sucker for the underdog, over-hated to go from nothing to respected by those around him. It's why I've always been a fan of how Goku went from a low-class warrior to a fighter that had God standing in ovation at the level of power he managed to achieve. It's a feel-good upbringing, and it's exemplified in the video game format where we have direct control of how we advance the narrative. Since the game is all about upping your influence and popularity, if you want to do so, you're going to need to help those around you. You, the overseer of your journey, decide who you will help and how you will help, and I think that shit is so cool. It's a topic and idea that works so well in the game format, like I said, so as long as they make the means to do so meaningful in the full game, then we're in good hands. The gameplay of Metaphor is the next thing I want to touch on, and this game has potential to not only be my favorite story from Atlus, but also my favorite gameplay system as well. Everything they've been doing is a perfect blend of their other franchises, and it has so much potential in it, it's unreal. First off, let me talk about the social sim aspects that this game has. I wouldn't say it's the same as the Persona series, but it shouldn't be because this game has its own identity. I will keep emphasizing that. So this game borrows the same structure for time management as the Persona games, where you'll have a deadline to do something, and in between you can do social aspects to raise your royal virtues, which opens up new requests and presumably bonds for you to deepen or acquire. I've been in the dark for this game, so I'm not totally sure how everything works or how it's going to work, so I'm kind of just going off what I know right now since it's a lot more fun for me that way. The reason this social aspect works so well for Metaphor is you've got deadlines for the main story, deadlines for the requests around the world, and you have to balance these things on top of other things like the royal virtues. Increasing your influence is something you've always got to keep in mind, so while it may be compelling to rush into the dungeons first to get things done quick, it might be more fruitful in the end to think about what time you have left and if it would be better spent doing social aspects. For someone aspiring to take the right of the throne in the place of the previous king, this is a system that works beautifully overall for gameplay and just overarching narrative, and I love that it's here. Then you go into the influence of the S&T games in the main combat loop, but honestly they just added a bunch of shit from all their franchises into the main combat loop. You've got formations, press turns, fusion spells, or synthesis spells as they're called in this game, and they've all been improved on massively. So first off, each new bond you make with a party member or someone you meet gives you access to a new archetype, which all have their own advantages and disadvantages. For example, the mage is very proficient in magic, but weak in anything physical related, and can also be frail. As a result, you'll want to have their formation be away from the front lines to avoid direct assault, but an archetype like the warrior, which Strahl awakens to, is the direct opposite. It's proficient in physical, so it wants to be up close. It's very weak from far back. You can use any archetype on any party member, which means you can basically do whatever the hell you want. You can make someone a healer, a mage, a warrior, a knight, or any of the many archetypes you'll eventually unlock as you make more progress throughout the game. Then you can build your protagonist to fit whatever playstyle works for you. You can assign your stat points upon ranking up to any of the available stats, so you can be a magic DPS, physical DPS, or whatever you desire. Then on top of that, depending on what all archetypes you have in battle alongside one another, you can unlock special synthesis skills. They'll use up extra press turn icons, but trust me, they're probably worth it more often than not because god damn, they can give some insane support or insane damage, both of which being extremely useful, obviously. Speaking of press turns, let me explain what that is in case you aren't aware. You get one press turn icon per party member on the field, and by doing things like hitting weaknesses, getting crits, or passing your turn to another ally, you can increase the amount of actions you can perform in one turn, which makes the whole strategy aspect of the game a lot more interesting. On the other hand, the enemies have press turn icons too, so they could wipe you away just as quickly if you aren't careful. If you miss an attack or the enemy nullifies an attack, you'll also lose more press turns than normal. I don't want to make this more complicated than it needs to be because this is supposed to be a general overview, but basically, this game's combat could very easily be the best of any Atlus game, and I'm really hoping each archetype is as fleshed out as they should be come the full game's release. There's always going to be meta, so to speak, but as long as the player has options to do whatever they want, then all is well in the world. And the fact you can restart a battle at any time is going to make experimenting a lot easier too. Oh yeah, I don't know if this has been obvious enough from the footage I've been showing, but this game graphically and visually is fucking amazing. Honestly, in general, this game has some of the best visual presentation of most games I've played. The menus are as stylish as ever, the UI in general is just nice, the character portraits all have an amazing style to them, the graphics and lighting are superb. I mean, I really can't overstate how good this game is to just look at. Dude, this game looks amazing though, like holy shit, the lighting is so good. This lighting actually might be better than Reload. Dude, holy shit, this game looks good.
We'll make it?
Dude, this is so cool. I think this game probably has the best lighting of any Atlus game yet, topping even Persona 3 Reload, which is crazy considering how close they came out to each other. Everything flows together so beautifully and it never got old. The thing that got me the most, I think, is how distinct each area feels from each other. The big city of Grand Trod, the underground mines, the places they showed in the trailer after beating the demo. It's so gorgeous and it's impossible to confuse one place for another. When I first arrived at Grand Trod, I was just like, wow. Because the sense of scale I personally got was crazy, and I immediately got immersed into the world. I think Atlus truly did an amazing job with the world in this game. at least from what I'm able to see at this current point in time, and this has set a new standard for the games going forward, I believe. Another new standard they set for themselves is the character designs, because god damn dude, even the NPCs around town are gorgeous.
Well, I suggest you keep a low profile. Trust me when I say, you don't want to catch the eyes of the lords and ladies.
You are one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life.
A blue blood, are you? The army's no place for velvet-swaddled lordlings. Why are you here?
Dude, you look like a fucking pug! What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Shut the fuck up! You look like you're a fucking second away from just dying instantly, dude. What the fuck is wrong with you? Then you've got the UI I mentioned before, and dude, these menus are just superb. They aren't my favorite from Atlus because Persona 3 Reload and Persona 5 hold a special place in my heart in that regard, but Jesus dude, it looks amazing. It gives off that vibe and aesthetic the game is going for so well, and it actively makes me want to look for an excuse to flip through it a bit. Like, oh, maybe there's an item I got that I didn't notice, let me go check. We all know how good Atlus is when it comes to the UI though, so I ain't gonna go too much into that. Overall, this game has some of the best and most consistent art direction and style to it we've seen in a long time, and I'm thoroughly impressed. The last thing I want to talk about from my initial thoughts on Metaphor is the music. My god y'all, I didn't know how much I would vibe with the music until I really got into the thick of it. I had heard the battle theme beforehand and I thought it was good, but when you actually play, it takes it to a completely different level. There is not a single song I've heard in this game that I felt disappointed by, and I am very happy about that because this is a bit of a different style than I've never personally heard Atlus go for. What makes the music even cooler is that Gallica, your fairy companion, is canonically playing the music for the protag, so whatever we're hearing, he can hear as well. I've always found this concept to be really cool, and it can play a good role in making you feel even more immersed and connected to the character you're role-playing as. Other than the music, I've talked about everything I feel I wanted to touch on for this initial prologue demo. I've honestly been more excited for Metaphor than I even was for Persona 3 Reload, and while I definitely owe Reload a lot for literally kickstarting this whole YouTube channel, I am thoroughly looking forward to seeing if this game lives up to its potential because it has so much of it. Like I said, this could easily be one of Atlus's all-time greats, and I think this demo shows they've got the confidence in this new IP to pull out all the stops. They didn't even drop a demo for Reload, so that's gotta mean something. So how do y'all feel about Metaphor so far? Have you played the demo? Do you plan on getting the game when it drops? I'd love to hear what you all think. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you would drop a like and a subscribe. It helps my channel out a lot and I'll love you forever. I'll even give you a free virtual cookie. Here you go, homie. With that said, it's been your boy Yandere Gogeta, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out everybody, and have a great day.